So today, we're going to talk about everything you need to know before moving to Tooele County, Utah.
So if you're thinking about moving to Tooele County, we wanted to share with you some of the common reasons that people look here. Some of them being that they're being priced out of Salt Lake County, or that they want a bigger home and a little bit more land. They're looking for a quieter lifestyle, maybe something that's not so in a big city. And then before you move out here, you want to share the good, the bad, and what most people maybe don't know before they move out here. And then, our information comes to you based on years of helping families to relocate into Tooele County. And so we just want to jump into this video and share what we have with you.
Okay, first things first, what is Tooele County? The biggest misconception is that Tooele County is not just Tooele City. There's different communities out here that all offer different lifestyles. You have Grantsville, Erda, Lake Point, Stansbury Park, Stockton, South Rim, Rush Valley, Vernon, Ophir, lots of different communities. They all offer different things for different people. But Tooele City by far is the largest and most developed of the cities in Tooele County. But Stansbury Park, as an example, has a suburban feel. It has a golf course, a lake, a pool. Grantsville has a small town atmosphere, has the bigger lots, tends to have bigger lots down there. Erda, rural living, more space, 1, 2, 3, 5 acre lots. Lake Point, super easy access to I-80, so you're going to shorten your commute to the Salt Lake Valley. Stockton and Rush Valleys, it's a very country lifestyle out there. Pro tip, explore the entire county before deciding where you want to live out here. You can look at some of our neighborhood tours and community tours that we've done. There's previous videos. You can click on those links below.
So here are some of the main reasons that people are moving to this area. Number one being affordability. We're just less expensive than the Salt Lake area. And then buyers are getting more square footage, larger lots, newer homes, and better value compared to Salt Lake, Utah, and Davis counties. Popular features that are in the homes out here are the 3-car garages. A lot of areas in the Salt Lake Valley, you cannot get a 3-car garage to fit on a lot. So we have a lot of our communities have the ability to have a 3-car garage. And then we have the RV parking and then mountain views. Of course, that's all over Utah, so that's kind of hard to compare. And then your acreage opportunities, you're able to have more acreage, half acre, 1 acre, even up to 10 plus acres if you're really looking for something like that. So you can have those bigger spaces where you can't have that in a lot of the bigger cities. And then, families just feel like it's a lifestyle upgrade because there's so many more opportunities for recreation and having animals or having those things that you may not be able to have in a big city.
The commute. Let's address the big question. Everybody asks about the commute. The reality depends on where you work. You work in North Salt Lake, South Salt Lake, or you're down in Utah County or Harriman or some of those areas. It just really depends on where you work and really what it takes to get there. If you're in West Valley, it's pretty manageable. It's a pretty quick turnaround. The airport area is super easy to get to.
25 minutes.
25 minutes from Tooele. Lehigh area, it's gonna be a longer commute. You're gonna go 36 to 73 and come around the backside if you're working in Lehigh. What advice would I give somebody who is doing that commute? I would say drive the route during rush hour to see if it works for you, because that's obviously the times you're going to be doing that drive most of the time. Don't rely on Google Maps or Apple Maps to give you your times. You need to actually drive it and go experience the commute yourself. They've spent a lot of time and money upgrading those roads through those sections to try to help minimize those commute times. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's bad. I can get from Tooele to downtown Salt Lake quicker than I can get from some areas in the surrounding valley to downtown Salt Lake. Because it's mostly freeway most of the time. So
yeah, I think that's a big thing. Some people think if they live in Draper or they live in West Jordan or something, it's going to be a quicker commute if they work downtown, which that's not always the case, because when you're coming from Tooele area, you're mostly on the highway, and so you're going to be in rush hour coming from some of those other areas, and it's going to be stop and go. So most the time, I think you're going to find that it's a quicker commute if you're in that downtown area, or even West Valley, Magna area, things like that. You're going to have a quicker commute. So schools are really important. That's something that, obviously people with children are looking at, is where you're going to move, where the best schools are. We have multiple elementary, junior high, and high school options here in Tooele County. We also have several STEM schools and charter schools here. So there's a lot of different opportunities, and they all have websites. The Tooele County School District has a website, and then you would have to reach out to there's Excelsior Academy, there's Scholar Academy, and then there's a couple of STEM-based schools in Stansbury Park, and those websites would share, their different testing scores, things like that. I think that this area provides a strong community involvement. There's a lot of sports. Every park in the valley is full of sports on the weekends, and every night for practicing. So there's a lot of school sports, and then just also your community rec leagues type of sports. And I think that we have strong local pride. I think that still kind of that tight-knit community, and I think that that's something that people are drawn to in the Tooele Valley. And then just it's growing, and we hope that all of that will continue to remain as it grows, because sometimes you are afraid that when you grow, you lose your hometown feel. But I feel like we've kept it so far, and I think that we can still keep that from happening.
Well, and one of the things is, with so much growth that we've gotten new elementary schools and new junior highs, and most recently a high school.
A big high school.
Yeah, big high school. So the school district as a whole has done a pretty good job keeping up with that growth of the families that are moving in and being able to provide a really good education locally.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's talk about shopping, restaurants, and everyday life. So, common concern. Some people say, hey, do I have to go to the Salt Lake for everything? Do I need to go to the Valley to get this and that? The short answer is no, you don't. We have a lot of those local amenities. We have grocery stores and restaurants and gyms and amazing healthcare providers, everyday necessities that you need to live and to be comfortable in your town, in your environment. So, do you need to go to Salt Lake every day for those kind of things? I think not. There are a few trade-offs. There are a few options than they have in the Salt Lake Valley and the Wasatch Front, but we have a lower cost of living and a slower pace of life. So I would rather take that over the hustle and bustle. But that's just me. At the end of the day, we've got everything that you need right here.
Yeah, and if there's not something here, it's the commute is just not that bad too. I mean, in a lot of states, to get 30 miles is hours, where here it's just 30 miles in 30 minutes. So it's a really quick commute if you want to get to some of those, those more the bigger variety of options in like your dining and your entertainment, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Outdoor recreation is a huge bonus. This valley is great for outdoor enthusiasts. We have activities like hiking, camping, fishing, ATV riding, mountain biking, hunting. We have super easy access to nature. You can just be out in the mountains in just a matter of minutes. It doesn't take a half hour or an hour. It's just a matter of minutes, and then you can be out and enjoying the mountains. We have amazing sunsets here. I think that that's one of the biggest things that I love about this area. Like, the sunsets from anywhere are just amazing, and I don't know that you get that everywhere, but I love that. But we just have so many opportunities just to be out and be enjoying some of those activities with your friends, your family, and everything, that it's just a great place to live.
All right, let's talk about the weather. Most of the time, we do get to experience all 4 seasons out here in Tooele County. We have relatively warm summers. The temperatures actually can be a little bit different in different valleys. The Rush Valley tends to be a little bit cooler than the Tooele Valley, just generally speaking.
10 degrees.
Roughly 10 degrees, yeah. But we've got nice hot summers. We have nice cold winters. We tend to get a pretty decent amount of snowfall, again, depending on the communities. Tooele tends to get a little bit more snow than Grantsville does. And then the southern end of the valley, it's very weather. It's very. They may get snow, they may not, but generally speaking, it's a lot milder out there. We have amazing fall colors. The colors out here are absolutely
especially
amazing.
Especially at Canyon. I think that's the best place to go for fall pictures. Is
Yeah, for sure. The wind can be troublesome. The wind is definitely a part of life here. You got to get used to the wind. I think that's generally the consensus across the Great Basin is, especially the high mountain district, you're going to be dealing with wind. That's kind of the nature of the deal.
It's definitely better if you have trees. Like the trees help. So Tooele City seems to be less windy, even though I feel like it gets the same amount, but because there's more trees here. So if you're in one of the newer communities, the bigger the trees get, the better, the wind gets too. So some areas like South Rim, Stockton area gets a little bit more wind. So you just learn to deal with it. Sometimes it's bad and sometimes it's not. Yeah,
it just comes with living in those particular communities. I would say most residents enjoy having the distinct seasons, the distinct 4 seasons, where there are some places in Utah that you just don't get that. It's like hot and then super cold, and you don't really get that transition, but we really get a pretty amazing transition here. So
yeah, but I think I need to mention that like over 100 degrees, we generally only get about a week of over 100 degrees. Now last year was a little different in 2025. I feel like we had about 3 weeks of over 100 degrees, but normally we only get about 1 week of over 100 degrees, and then the rest of the summer you're in the 80s and 90s.
That being said, it can get pretty cold here. I don't want to say super cold, but we do get freezing temperatures. Again, different valleys experience a little bit different climates. It tends to be colder in Tooele than it is in Grantsville. And then the Rush Valley portion of the county, again, is 10 degrees colder. So if it's freezing in Tooele, it's 10 below out there. Those of us that have lived out there a long time, you just learn to deal with it. And it's just part of the beauty. It's just part of the experience of living in rural parts of the county.
And you kind of acclimate too. Like you get used to those colder temperatures, and then when it's 20 degrees you feel like, oh, it's jacket weather. So I think at the first of the season it's kind of hard, but then you acclimate.
So what people love most about living here? I would say most of the common feedback that we get from residents and clients, more space, larger lots. Having more space means it's less crowded. There's less people. Friendly neighborhoods, small town atmosphere, but still having the city quality or the city amenities that most people are looking for. So we still have both. Ultimately, just a better quality of life for them and their families. And many people feel like life kind of slows down a little bit out here. So if you're working in Salt Lake or the Wasatch Front, you're dealing with that hustle and bustle, and then you get home, it's like home. Things are a little bit slower, and the kids are outside playing, and it's just, I think it's just a good way to live.
Yeah, we like it. So obviously with any area, any place you're gonna live, there's gonna be some downsides. So some of the downsides of this area is you're going to have a little bit longer commute if you're going to work in the Salt Lake Valley or Utah County. You're going to have a little bit more of a commute, and the traffic is growing because we're growing out here, so that means more cars traveling into Salt Lake or to Utah County area every day because they work in there. So we're going to have that traffic's going to continue to grow. The state is trying to keep up with that, though. They're widening the freeway, widening the highways, things like that. So they're trying to keep up with that. And then you're going to have fewer shopping and dining options out here. There are a lot of Mexican restaurants, I feel like, out here, and a lot of taco places. Yeah. But for some of the finer dining, like we don't have a lot of that. But we're getting some new things. We got a Chili's this last year, and we have Applebee's, things like that. So you're just going to have fewer options, but you'll have that pretty decent commute in the evenings to go into Salt Lake. And then, some people have a hard time adjusting to a smaller community, especially if you've always lived in a big city. It's kind of hard to adjust to that, to know that, there might be a little bit of commute for something that you want to go into the valley for. So, and then, it all depends on your priorities. You need to decide what your priorities are and then figure out what your deal breakers are. So, and only you can decide that for you. It's an easy, just kind of making a checklist, I guess.
So, should you move to Tooele County? Well, I think it would be a great fit if you want a few things, right? More affordable housing, larger lots, outdoor recreation and opportunities there, a strong community feel and community bond. It may not be so ideal if you want downtown living, endless shopping and entertainment like right at your door. the different variety of communities means there's likely a good fit for lots of different people. So if you're looking for those different lifestyles that we talked about previously in the video, there's a good variety of communities that'll fit those needs.
So if you need help deciding which city or neighborhood fits you best, our team helps families relocate to Tooele County all the time. And you can reach out to us with any questions that you might have. And if this video helped you, please subscribe and then follow us for weekly updates on Tooele County real estate. And then hopefully we'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching.